haunting since time began. Raw side paranormal seeks the truth, looking for some kind of real proof. Creepy floorboards and eerie dark mist. Grab your camera and document this. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the wrong side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. The icy air touches your neck. You feel like screaming, but you stay in check. All rising up to take the magical flight. You can't believe what's happening tonight. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. How's it going? Here we are, hopefully all in one piece. Technical difficulties all around the board. So hopefully mine are fixed and hopefully Mark's are fixed. And we'll be able to put a show on for you guys. Let's see who's popped in to hang out with us this Wednesday. Hello, Miss Susan. How are you? I hope you're resting. And Jamie Watson, always here, always dedicated to the job. Love you, Jamie. Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, it's Wednesday. Hopefully everybody's had a great day. And we're going to welcome Mark from Haunted Truth, guys. Welcome Mark to the stage, guys. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm holding on there. How about yourself? Hi, Janice.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
That's good.
It's been a long day, long, hot, sticky day.
Oh, look at this hot mess here. I know it's terrible. Either it's hot or it's raining. So it can't make up its mind here. So it's a big hot mess here.
It's pretty much England 24/7.
Let's see. Susan loves the dolls. That's just a few of my dollies. Some people get spooked out by them. And of course, over this way, you see, there's Leroy in the background. Haunted dolls. You never know, Jamie. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, welcome everybody. Mark, it's great to have you back on. I know
pleasure.
You've been a busy guy. Been enjoying what you've been putting out. Tell us, tell everybody in chat if they don't remember who you are and what Haunted Truth is about.
So I'm a paranormal investigator and open skeptic. I go to supposedly haunted locations and basically shelter air from anything between 2 to 6 hours. And if stuff happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I try and capture as much as possible and present it to you lot. And I create a nice little narrative. And yeah, got some new people working with me now. So Will has sort of joined the team.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I know the last time we spoke, you said a few of your members had parted ways because they wanted to do their own thing. So now you have new guys. How's it working out with the new crew?
Well, what the idea originally was going to be that I was just going to bring guests in as and when, and Josh, who's always been with Haunt the Truth, would be like a permanent fixture, and then I wouldn't take on any more permanent members. But then a lot of the people that I started asking were preoccupied, busy, family, friends. I don't think they realized the extent of how much I would need them. So then Will, he was the only person out of everybody that was like, are we going to go next week? We're going to go next week. We're going to go next week. More so than Josh, who's a core member. And I
Right.
was like, wow, you're really into this. He is my niece's partner. So it's in the
Okay.
family. So I've kept it like in the family more so.
So he's excited and ready to roll.
Constantly.
Oh,
Like
good.
it's like literally when I went live earlier on myself, he joined that live and he was like, we're going out tonight. I was like, not gonna happen. I'm joining you.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell him I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But no, but that's great. He's got the drive and the want to do it. So hopefully that'll last. And
Yeah. I still talk to some of the other people from time to time. I spoke to Chris yesterday, in fact, and I think I'm joining some video where they're tearing apart Really Haunted soon. So I got a personal drive against him with Bristol Paranormal Hunters.
oh my goodness,
They're
yeah,
gonna
I
do a
haven't heard
video.
anything from them for a while. So
Yeah, so they're gonna do like a tear apart thing. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the subscribe.
wow,
Oh yeah, I have the chat up as well, just so we can both answer the questions.
good. I like Ike. How's it going? First time viewer, Blondes and Booze sent me. Oh, wonderful. Welcome. Now I just got done watching the other day your latest video of Saint Athens.
The rewatch.
It was a school, correct?
So the St. Athens Boys Village was I suppose the American equivalent would be like a summer camp.
Oh, okay.
Sort of that type of thing. What it was is in Wales years ago, there used to be a lot of coal mines, and during a certain period of time, they would send their kids off to these camps when they were going off doing work in the mines and stuff. That's as far as I'm aware, anyway. There's a lot of stories, speculation of things that happen there, fires and all sorts of things. And it was supposedly haunted. And that one you watched was the first time I ever went there. And obviously, myself and Josh was just watching it back because it's interesting to watch back something that's like 5, 6 years old now, just to see that what I was like comparative to what I am like now. So it's quite a surprise to watch. I have been there loads of times since. So there's a whole playlist worth of just. It's gone now, apart from one building. The church is the only place left.
Oh, so they pretty much tore everything down. What a shame. But did you get a chance to see any of the other buildings before they tore them down?
Yeah, so I went to there was like a dorm, and then there was the main basketball court, the church, and then there was some to the left, but they didn't have any roofs, so I never went in those ones because I don't know. I just like there being a roof because I like the wind and whatnot. 'Cause it's quite close to the coast, so it was just good to be in sort of. I call it indoor outdoor. Any abandoned place, I call it indoor outdoor.
Right. Yeah, because you never know what the hell's going to be inside when you're
Yeah.
like roof. Yeah, total contamination. So it's really hard. When you did that investigation, what happened? Did you happen to catch anything, or it was just
On
a
that
walkthrough?
one that you watched, that's the first time I ever used a spirit box, and I didn't think much of them. It was the SB11, I think.
Right.
I still question them a little bit to this day. I don't consider them conclusive evidence, but that did freak me out a little bit because what I was hearing, regardless of what the words were saying, sounded like someone with a younger voice coming through. So it was like you know what I mean? It's that sort of higher voice.
Right.
And considering where I was, I thought at the time that was really bizarre.
I was impressed actually, because when I was listening to that, I'm thinking, wow. I mean, it wasn't, when it come out with the name, and then when you question it, and then it was another voice saying no.
Yeah.
So I found it pretty interesting because
And it
I'm
was the
not big on.
same tone, wasn't it? It was the same tone.
Yeah, but it was, it was doesn't sound like the same person. So one person was maybe revealing himself, and then the other one, when you asked again, "Is this
Mm.
your name?" They said no. So I'm thinking you had more than one thing going on there. I'm not big on the gadgets either. I don't own any. I don't use them. But when I see people use them, it does make me question. Gee, maybe there's something to it, because sometimes you get something that really catches your ear. Hi, Richard, and welcome. So yeah, I was impressed with that actually.
I recently got the SB12, the big one, the big where's it at? This one. There it is. This thing. Oh, SB11. Sorry.
Okay.
And like like is for £100 is an expensive test, isn't it? Really.
Yes, it is.
So I got it literally for the test. Like everybody bangs on about this one being the best one, that it closes off known AM and FM radio stations, so you don't get music coming through, which is true. It doesn't, and it can sweep in both AM and FM backwards and forwards on both twice. I have had some weird things on this,
Right.
which I'm still like on the fence about. A couple of times I've gone like, "Can you say this number?" and only the camera and me know the number, and then it says a number.
So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So I mean, hey, you spent the money, you might as well test it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I had some of the gadgets, I would test them out, and I would really put them through, all of the tests that I could think of, just to prove or disprove. But like I said, when I was watching the last video, which you guys need to check out, are pretty interesting. You actually got a quick response. And like you said, I was only giving you white noise, so there was no music. You couldn't hear no music or anything like that. So yeah, that was pretty good.
That same place, I went with another team, Spiritual Awakening, ages and ages ago, and he introduced me to the Estes method, and I was like, I'll give it a go. I don't really know too much about this. And the headphones, they were genuinely noise cancelling, and he set it up where 4 or 5 people could be on it at the same time from one box because he had a splitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to do the questions, and all 4 of them were on there. I got to go on the headphones as well, so I got to hear what it sounded like. And then I started asking questions. So I was like, "Hi, my name's Mark." And simultaneously, every person with the headphones on turned around and went, "Hello." And I was like, which means they all heard the same word, hello.
Right.
Because they would say the words they're hearing.
Right.
Am I making sense? I hope I'm making
Yes.
sense.
Yep.
And I thought that was quite a good experiment to do, which I couldn't fully understand or explain either. So maybe there is something to them, but a lot of the time they're just noisy and irritating, but each to their own.
Right. That's pretty much how Richard said overpriced radio.
Yeah.
I'll have the same. Yeah, too. I have the same unit. That's one of the reasons why I don't have any of that stuff, because I'm not going to pay the money.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You're mostly old school like I am. Just a camera and a digital recorder, and you go in there. I don't know. How do you feel? I find that is actually the best way you're going to get any kind of legitimate data, because there's no radio frequencies in the way. And how do you feel about that? It's just going old school and keeping it that way.
I mean, that's the core of what I do. The only reason I got that, and the only reason I'm, get other things, is because I feel that as a investigator, I have to investigate everything that's claimed. Some stuff I'm not even going to bother with, like certain apps, because I just know, being technologically, like, I know from technology wise that you can easily code things in to just say things that from a dictionary. It can even listen to you. So that I just write that off straight away. I had an SLS. That was cock of crap, right? Nonsense. So as an investigator, I'm spending my money and potentially wasting my money to turn around and go, that's nonsense, or that is strange, that's odd, that's
Right.
interesting. But my core, like as a core investigator, outside of, wanting the truth and wanting to find the truth about things, is the old-fashioned method of go in, call out, wait, repeat, call out, wait, call out, wait, call out, wait. Yeah, it's just even with EMFs, when they go off, it's like, well, that's gone off, but now I need to see if something happens in correlation to it. So
Right.
that's going red. There's nothing here that can make it go red. Okay, if that's something here making it go red or affecting it in some way, prove yourself in another way. Throw something, talk, run at me, chuck something, etc.
Right. Hello, Carla. Welcome. Do you do any other kind of testing though? If it goes off, and you're not getting any kind of physical response, do you go around and check to see maybe if it's like your phones or even the camera or something that's going to be setting it off?
Well, in the EMF,
Yes.
I know the cameras don't. I know that much because I've tested that. I've got a big light that does, because it's got a big magnet on the back. Some people actually mistake the K2s and they think that they're actually EMF detectors, so electromagnetic field detectors. They're not. They are just magnetic detectors, because they detect in mg, which is megajoules.
Right.
So they can only detect magnetic fields, such as amps, RS signals, phones, like you were saying, etc. Flight mode, I find it covers quite a lot. So provided you're not next to the device and you put it on flight mode, you're pretty much covered in that respect. And then, of course, I've also got a Faraday box over there.
Wonderful.
So if I really, if I go to a location and I'm finding, gee, I'm getting loads of results here, it's going crazy, I will then get me Faraday box. I'll go back there with the box and then I'll set it up. It's gone off once inside of that box.
Oh, fantastic.
Means it couldn't be anything external.
Exactly. But I mean, the thing is that other people were discussing that actually today about the Faraday box and results from it. Because people were questioning, well, if you put the instrument in the Faraday box and then you call out and it's supposed to block anything from it except for the so-called spirit or entity, how do we know that it's not blocking that? But if we think it's pure, I mean, everybody, and what is your idea of what we become when we pass on? Is it pure energy, or I mean, it's
well, this is in the assumption and hypothetical scenario that it is a ghost that's in these places, that it is a spirit of something that's left over. I get asked time and time again what my thoughts are like in this regard to this, and I always say that I've never officially captured a spirit on camera. I've captured an effect, so the effect of whatever's doing, throwing something, chucking something, voice, etc. But I've never. It's not like I've gone around, someone's house and they're like, "Oh, my nan, Jean, used to live here. She haunts the building," and then I walk into the room and there's Jean sat in a chair. You know what I mean? Like I've never seen that happen, so I can't conclusively say that it is a ghost. That's quite a long-winded answer.
No, it's good because we're trying to get the whole explanation out there, because everybody might have a different idea on what spirit is or ghost is. But I believe, and you're using the Faraday box, I believe that if we are pure energy, we should be able to penetrate that box to do the communicating that we're asking. And it's leaving all the outside influences away from it.
This is because what someone said was similar to you. Even if it isn't a ghost, they were like, "Wow, if you're blocking the magnetic energy, then you could be blocking the thing that's doing it." There is holes in very, very fine, because it's a mesh.
Right.
Just technically speaking, there it doesn't stop everything. Like if you put it next to I think it's like an MRI scanner or something, it go crazy. You can also, I can still put my phone in there and ring it, and it'll go up. It'll still ring. So something,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So even if you put it in a microwave, it's still, you can get walkie talkies and still contact them through. To be foolproof, it
Interesting.
needs to be like titanium, I think, like a massive sealed off proper
Right. Something
titanium.
that nobody can afford.
Yeah, no. But I mean, my hypothesis when the EMFs were going off was that it isn't. And I think I say this in the video as well that I just put out because I got a bit perplexed and confused with it. I started to come to the thought that if the spirit entity, dimensional being, whatever your personal belief is of it, is that it can't physically affect the EMF. So, like, go in, make this go to red, for example. I don't know if it understands make this go to red.
Right.
Unless it's like been used to that. Like if I went up to someone living and said, "Can you make this go to red?" and they'd never seen one of those before, they'd be going, "What you on about?" You know what I mean? So that's the first problem. And then the other thing was that I thought that it was either drawing on energy, and then the magnetic meter was picking up on that drawing. So, for example, people say that they feel weak. They say that their batteries drain. You sometimes have power surges where the lights will start flickering. It's been shown in movies countless times. These are all things which are having an effect on the area and drawing the energy using the electric spectrum. And then I'm thinking, well, if it's doing that, will that then show a result on the EMF reader? Or it's using some sort of energy itself that is part of the magnetic field.
Right.
And then we're seeing that. But I don't think it's that one, because when the activity happens, so let's say I've got an EMF meter and then activity happens, it doesn't go off. It'll go off maybe half an hour before, as if it's drawing stuff. But I was running with this hypothesis, and then on occasion, it didn't go off at all, and an activity happened. So I was like, well, I've no longer got this pattern anymore because it's changed. So the science just in my head just went out of the window. I don't know what anyone else's thoughts are on that.
Right. Well, actually, guys, yeah, you can ask any questions you want. Mark will answer them the best he can. Yes, Pop, this is my new studio. I just finished it. You don't like my dollies? Everybody gets creeped out by the dolls. I love them. There's only a few of them. Friday, welcome. Oh, here we go. It's good to see you, Friday.
Because I'd start talking about electric and stuff. I was like, where is he? Where is he? I need him.
Yes, he was in the lurk. The thing about energy is that it is just a property of something and not a real object of its own. See, that's what it is. We don't think of it that way, though. Most people don't think of it that way. Oh, he's at work. We won't tell him.
I had my mind blown the other day when I found out that we're made up of stardust. I couldn't believe that. So when a star like the sun, supernovas, and all the energy comes off of that energy and everything that's part of that is inside of us now. Without that happening, we wouldn't exist. Anyway, different subject. We'll be here till like forever to 6 in the morning.
That's it could be in anything that anybody brings up, because once you start diving into something, then there's just more as you keep going. Pop says, I don't like any dolls, not even inflatable ones. Oh, geez. Well, then you wouldn't want to come to my house because it's loaded with. I have primitive folk art dolls, porcelain dolls, all kinds of weird dolls.
My shelf is just riddled with.
I still have my creepy stuff. Yeah, I got the creepy stuff, but nobody really can see that. That's on the other side of the room. Let's see here. Yes, Carl Sagan said that. Smart guy he was. Oh, yes, I loved Carl Sagan. We used to listen to it all the time because my father is very heavy into exploration of space and science. So Carl Sagan was a regular in our house. Excuse me. Hey, sweet goth, how's it going? Like I said, guys, any question you want, just put it out there. We will read it, and Mark will answer to the best of his ability. As far as now you've switched, you've changed, you've got some new things going on. Has it been difficult with you switching over to what you guys used to do with the old group, and now you're in with, like you said,
I think
family and friends?
the hardest part is, well, when Josh, because he's not really available all the time because he works quite a lot now, so he's the only person that's like can adequately understand my cameras because he's never had any media training in cameras. He's just been doing it for 6 years and just knows now. So anyone new that comes in and I go, here's a camera, it's like I'm trying to tell them how to do cinema photography, where to point, what not to point at, and then I'm also thinking, what am I filming, whilst trying to investigate, whilst trying to direct, and it's just like it can be a bit much. I've slowed down a little bit on the episodes as well because I was finding that I was pumping them out weekly, like big location episodes, and a lot of people weren't having time to see them as quick. So it was like, whoa, like I'm like 5 episodes behind, and then that started affecting my metrics because people were because with YouTube, I don't know if there's people here, other people with channels and stuff. The way it works is when you upload, you have like about 24 hours to hit a certain mark on YouTube of viewers, and if you don't hit that mark, it doesn't then pump it to a further audience, which then affects the view count, which I'm struggling with. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of an awkward one. It's like I got 4.3 subs and I get like maybe 300 views, which is brilliant, and I appreciate everybody that does it, but at the same time it is a bit perplexing.
Like, we all go through that.
And they're going, why am I not like? And then you see other people and you're like, wait a minute, they're getting 1,000. What are they doing different? Nothing. I'm just like, wait. And then you get paranoid. YouTube doesn't like me. It's got a problem with me. You know what I mean? It just drives you mad.
So yeah, it's just we all go through that because that's like the same thing. What am I doing wrong? Nothing. It's just it is what it is. Let's see, Haunted Truth. What do you do personally believe to be the truth regards spirits, the afterlife, and demons, etc.?
I think, well, I'm pretty confident now that there is definitely something. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here then, that's with spirits, I've never physically seen a ghost. So it's hard for me to put that down as something. So, the afterlife, the interesting thing with that is if you start researching into what do you call it, when people talk about their past life experience and they can recount things from their past life.
Right.
So that I find quite interesting. Near-death experience as well. I find them very interesting. Demons, probably well overused, but
on YouTube.
From a religious standpoint, there's many religions that will say that any spirits, ghosts, or anything like that you're contacting here through a medium, Ouija board, or whatever I'm doing, aren't actually spirits. They're negative beings or lower tier demons or actual full big time demons, and they're just mimicking the dead to try and trick you. So in that instance, they would all be demons in some way. Mm-hmm. But I have come across some gnarly things that have made me feel unwell. I don't really understand it enough. Sometimes I answer questions like a politician. but it's true. I don't know enough.
Right. Well, yeah, we're all still learning. So it's I guess it's just by experience. Hi, Ann. Welcome. Susan wants to know, Mark, do you feel that if you're not a good person living, you're not in the afterlife? Do you feel that everyone has the choice to redeem themselves? Good question, Susan.
Okay, how do you? So let me read it again. Do you feel as a good person? Well, according to the Christian belief, um, you could just repent and see Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and be born again, and and then you're fine. But then, I like this. Just go hypothetically. I think there's some crimes out there which are beyond redemption. Like, let's say, for example, like, I don't know, Hitler, for example, right? I don't think that you can be redeemed for the things that he did at all.
Let's see here. Friday says, it has also been said that we, as child of the source, we have the power to manifest and even create unnatural beings that can haunt a location.
This is
Thoughts?
interesting. This is really interesting. So the
Ooh.
place that's near me, the Warmley Clock Tower, I've spoken to one of the people that are in the committee. Uh, her name sounds like Karen, but it isn't Karen. It's like Coron.
There, that's
I
better.
don't know, Karen. I don't know, something like that.
Right.
And she told me that there was never anything there that was really that to the extent of what people are saying, and then these stories started developing through like Chinese whispers almost. People then started investigating these stories, and then it almost manifested these stories, and now there's something there. So could that be something? It's definitely interesting, but the only way to test this is if you went to like I don't know, like a community hall, which definitely isn't haunted, and then just kept investigating it and then creating a story and then see if something happens and then testing that theory. You'd need a long time to do that.
Right. Oh, you got a lot of stuff going on here. Some are saying that some believe that they could choose their new beginning, pretty much their life themselves. Let's see, Friday House, I believe, imagination of people can cause odd paranormal. You're right. I can see that because our imagination actually is our worst enemy because it makes it more blown up than it actually is. And then Anne says poltergeists. So do you want to know what his thoughts are on poltergeists, Anne?
I've been to a house which definitely displays that type of activity. And a poltergeist isn't necessarily that of something that's dead. It's almost, I've never really researched into it. Is this just from what I know, from what I've witnessed? It's almost like it's a force in itself. I think what she's saying is it can be manifested. Some instances of poltergeist activity, it could be just a normal family home, but then that family home could have like a lot of dysfunction going on. And the dysfunction could be happening during a time where people are going through like puberty, mainly girls.
Yep.
And then bang, something's latches. I believe it can also be connected to objects, places, and people. And I've seen things go across rooms. Definitely poltergeist activity.
So, oh yeah, that I have not experienced. That would be something really interesting to see. Hey Bill, how's it going? Never late. Don't worry about that. Pop says, so you don't believe redemption is a choice? Then you just wander, or you just wonder if the guest did. Or do you mean ghost did, Pomp? Or am I totally reading that wrong?
I don't believe redemption is choice. I just wonder. I don't know too much about. I'm only like, when it comes to that side of things, I'm only answering the question based off of my knowledge of Christianity, but I'm not I'm not part of like any church or anything like that. I'm sort of like a kind of agnostic, I suppose, but I won't lie though, I have started researching into the Bible and things like that, and because as an investigator, I thought it was important, and I was going at it thinking, oh, I'm just going to tear this apart, but it's actually a lot of interesting stuff there.
Yeah, it's a good book to read.
Very interesting
Even
stuff.
if you don't believe, it's a good book to read because there's a lot of information in there. And since the poltergeists are believed to be our manifestation, it was never a spirit. I know that my very first experience in the place, it was a castle here locally, that they classified the haunting of the building to be called poltergeist activity
Mhm.
of the former owner. So I don't know how they made that classification, but that's how they classified her.
I suppose. Well, yeah, no, okay. So that's we're talking lore. There, I suppose that's more of a descriptive term, isn't it? So if something has the ability to move or throw things, then the descriptive term would be that's poltergeist activity.
Right.
But then, is it a poltergeist according to what the law is of poltergeist? I don't know.
Right. Thanks for joining us Friday. Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so I don't really know too much on it. I need to research the lore. A lot of my lore has come from Phasmophobia at the moment, which isn't a very good source.
All right, this is actually a good question here. That Pop says, so why do they believe the poltergeist at 30 East Drive is a monk or Fred then? Good question. And you guys would know more about that than we would, because I mean, it's not far from all you guys.
Well, it's similar to the Enfield haunting. So the Enfield haunting, which was displaying extreme amount of poltergeist activity, was said to be Bill. That was the guy that died in the corner of the room that took over Janice, and spoke through her and threw items across rooms. So yeah, you're right in saying that. Bingo.
Apparently, Anne doesn't believe in 30 East Drive. I don't know. I've never been there. So
might be more a question for Anne to answer when it comes to that sort of thing.
We'll have to have Anne on.
I can only answer from what I have witnessed, and that is I've been to a house where items have come out of areas where no one else is and where it shouldn't have happened with rational causes, and that, by definition is poltergeist activity. Now, what that is it something that was living there that's now dead? Is it some force that's been manifested, or is it something completely different, like a dimensional being, like an elemental or something, right? I think the argument of what it is, we're never gonna know. Right. We can only document what is, but to know, like, we can only document the action, but we're never going to know really or agree on the what is, unless it appears, and goes, it messages you and it's like, hey, I heard you're doing like interviews, do you want me to come on? And you're like, oh, who are you? I'm a poltergeist, I'm going to tell you everything. Unless that situation happens, you know what I mean? We're never going to know. Right. It's all personal belief.
Okay, James says, hi, James, by the way. Hi, Wayne Darlin. It says, I'm not massively surprised to hear that there are contradictions. Have you ever been to 30 East Drive, Mark?
No. I mean, it was so overrated that I just never signed up to it, and it cost quite a lot. And I was like, I mean, if I got invited, of course I'd go, but I would definitely go with the prospect of I'm gonna figure this out, rather than, hey, let's prove this. I'd want to tear it apart completely.
Right. Okay, Pop, yeah, she so you're saying it used to be haunted then, Anne, but no longer is. So if so, where did the spirits go? Holiday. Well, that's not that. Anne, sometime we'll have to have you on and she can answer the questions like that. That would be fun. I don't know if she has personally been to 30 East Drive, but I know it's a big deal out there to go to 30 East Drive. And all the ones that I've seen, I mean, it does make you think. But like I said, I've never been there, so I can't say yes or no.
I mean, it's like, oh, let's put this item at the top of the stairs on this step, which is really rickety and it can fall at any moment. Come on.
Right. So, I mean, like when Beardo went there and they were debunking it, I mean, they had the camera right on there. They pulled the level out just to check the, you know, the slope of the top step. So, I mean, there could be any amount of answers. Some people thought that it was pulled. But then when you see the way it fell initially, you see that it was, if anything, it was pushed from behind because the way it fell down. So who knows? Who knows? Let's see. She goes, I think that East Drive and Fields were haunted originally, but now it's set up and fake for financial gain, just in my
Enfield,
opinion.
You can't go to Enfield anymore. In fact, it's blocked off on the maps. People don't want to have anything to do with it. I mean, it was assumed that once the Warrens went there, I say what you want about them, that once they went there and sorted it out with Bill and got rid of, you know, the spirit and I think Maurice or something was the guy that was also there. That was it. That they just got rid of it. Done. Job done. But there's some stuff in that story where it's like, okay, I think that this could be fake, but then there's other stuff like accounts from police. There's police reports where they've gone in the house and physically seen like a chair or something go across a room, like go across a room, and that's, you can't deny a police report.
So in your opinion, you still think that there's something there?
No, maybe then, but maybe not now.
Maybe not now.
No. Some of the stuff that they talk about.
Oh, she said, sorry, DeGray Street, I meant, Mark. She said it's late.
Okay.
It's okay. Fine. It's okay, Anne. We understand. Let's see. The Warrens did all that in a day, and people say they were fake.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. But there is some stuff that they did that's like.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Warrens.
I mean, some of it's like, well, I watched some stuff on the internet, on YouTube. It's like the unknown tapes because they used to record everything. And one of them, there's this girl sat at a kitchen table, and the mother's holding the chair down. She's not doing this with her arms, and the chair starts lifting, and the girl's feet are on there's like a wooden beam between the two legs. So she's like this, and the chair's going up like that, and then the mother pushes the chair, her chair back down like that, and then the table moves in the opposite direction. And I'm like, that's weird, because it's like really old video. Right. And I'm trying to look for wires, and I'm thinking,
yeah, it has to be picked apart. I do believe that they started out with good intentions, but then when they latched onto the Hollywood dollar, it just all went awry.
Oh, I mean, as does most of the teams.
Yeah, like, pretty much. Pop says, I've never even heard of the Warrens till The Conjuring came out. Yeah, it's. I think that was just really hyped up. I don't believe everything they say about the Conjuring house either, because there have been people that have lived there for years before it turned into a haunted attraction and never had a problem.
I mean, people can say as what they feel and think about the Warrens, like big time skeptics and stuff. Like they could say, obviously, like for the likes of Mr. Gray, they're just nonsense, they're charlatans, they're liars, and he thinks that none of that's real. But I would question, would he be happy to take the Annabelle doll home with him and sit it at the end of his bed? Like, would you still risk that? Knowing the stories of what it's
I don't believe. Yeah, I don't believe in the doll thing either, so I don't.
Would you risk it? Would you pop it on your shelf?
Yeah, you could. Why not? It'll go right behind me next to Leroy. It doesn't bother me because I don't believe that there's anything with that specific doll. Again, if it was something that was evil, I look at it this way. If it can inhabit the doll And if it really wanted to get out, would they have it encased and won't stop whatever it is? I mean, it was just a regular doll case is all it is. I could see if it was a lead lined case, then maybe you'd have people thinking, but it's a glass and wooden doll case. And it's just a plain old Raggedy Ann.
Just
I
so
don't know where the
say,
original doll is. Who knows? Because everybody says that now. I think she's on tour still. They say that's not the original doll. She said, let's see. If Annabelle was possessed and powerful, as they say, why would it allow itself to be locked up? That's what I'm saying. Inside, it's in a doll case.
they say that, well, there's supposedly it's blessed.
James would throw the doll out the window.
And that they've done like blessings. I think once they did take it out and they had to put it back in, they had to redo all the blessings. So they've got a Catholic priest to come in and do all this like ritual stuff on it, and like, set up a perimeter and all this. And then obviously the Warrens themselves, they did all this like sort of protection things. Like, I'll give you an example of this because I've actually met someone which claims to have done this. So there's a place called Woodchester Mansion, and there's 2 people that live there. And one of the people is called Cassandra Raven. And she's a clairvoyant medium. And I met her once, and I was like, well, if this place is haunted, don't you have things go on all the time? And you're living here. It's like apparently one of the most haunted locations going, with demons and all sorts here. And then she said, oh, no, it can't come into my part of the house because I've warded it off. There's a ward at my door.
Right. So
that's a similar thing. Now, I don't know how much I believe on that. I'm just there like, really? But then again, I've got a mirror up there, which apparently stops negative things coming into my room. So I'm very contradictory.
So, everybody has their own beliefs, their own quirks. I mean, it goes. I
just go with the well, what if? You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to some gnarly place, which is said to have a demon there, so say, and I'm giving it me big un, and then I'm coming back to my house. If that's real, I want it stopping before it comes through that door. So I've got everything. I've got a cross there. I've got a back buckler mirror up there. I've got crystals up there. I don't believe. I've got dream catchers over there. I've got some bones from like it's like some sort of what do you call it? What's that religion? Which like a voodoo type? Yeah, right. Which is a pattern protection. I've got all the stuff everywhere in the room,
just in case.
And it's like it's just in case. So you can't come in my room. It's sealed.
Right. Well, like I said, I do house blessings. So I bless my own house. I bless other people's homes. Yeah. Okay. If you have that belief and it works for you, that's great. A lot of people don't believe in any of that. I know when I do go out in the field, I bring a blessed rosary with me as a form of protection. Same thing with holy water. I just think it's it's what you believe.
So even this I've got, like, which is I don't know. This is weird because that's sealed, and I've been to several locations, right, with this. Which are like locations which are said to have negative things there. And I've gone like, wow, this is a just in case type thing. It was given to me by Ranger Paul before he disappeared. And this had holy water all the way up to the top in it. And it's sealed.
Right.
And now it's gone.
It's evaporated.
And I'm like, well, how's that evaporated? Through the seal, through the glue, through the glass. So that was odd. That's blessed soul.
Yeah, it does happen because I've had that. Yeah, I've had that. It evaporates. Just a very minute.
That's very interesting. It's past
opening that it could evaporate from. Anne says, if Annabelle was that bad, you wouldn't allow it to exist. You would bury it. Exactly. People would. They would try to destroy it. They wouldn't put it in a box. Let's see. Goth Gal says, I think items only have power if you treat them that way. I have a giant Ouija board rug. To me, it's a rug. I agree with you, sweetie. I treat it as a rug. I'm not concerned about having a giant spirit board in my apartment. Yes, because I really am not a believer in, well, not a whole believer in the Ouija board thing, because I do know how it works. I've researched that. But like you said, if you give it power over you, then you don't know. But I wouldn't sit there and say, "Hey, come and get me." I mean,
I think that the Ouija board is not the thing that is the problem. It's the person's intention behind
Right.
it.
Right.
So the board itself is just a board with letters. Because people say, "Oh, I went on this board, and then afterwards this happened and that happened," and then I say, "Well, it's nothing to do with the board. It's the fact that you're encouraging something to happen."
Right. Exactly.
You just so happen to be on a bit of wood while I was doing it. You could sit
There you
there and
go.
hold hands
There
and
you
get
go.
the same effect.
Made by Milton Bradley too. That's the thing that kills me, because hi Calamity, because my husband said, "No, you can't have one of those here." Well, it's a game, it's not like any kind of crazy rituals were done with this thing.
Hollywood screwed that over with
So yeah.
with The
I
Exorcist.
have, I do pendulum readings for people, and I have a pendulum board, and it's, and to keep it clear, I blessed it, and it's cleansed. But as far as, and I always tell everybody, it's entertainment only. But there are people that will take it to the core. They do.
I've proven time and time again that they don't do it. I've sat on them, and I've been there, do something, move. I've been in graveyards with them. I even went out of my way to go and get this.
Oh.
And this right here is the reason people do not like Ouija boards. This little fella.
Okay, explain him and tell everybody what that is.
So the original story came from a young lad that say got possessed by using a Ouija board. And that then got taken and written into a book. And then that book then got turned into a movie. And that movie was called The Exorcist. And this is Pazuzu.
Okay.
From The Exorcist, the demon that possesses Reagan. And they use the Parker Brothers Ouija board. And from that point onwards, everybody was scared of them. Came out, in the 60s, I think?
Oh, yeah.
And then that's when Zozo got invented. I think it's short form from Pazuzu, and then Zozo came about, and it's just all nonsense. All been fabricated from an idea that was written in a book.
Let's see here. Wayne says, "I'm aware the Ouija board is just a game, but if it's a game, where's the rules and instructions on how to play it? And how many players can play it? Just saying." I haven't had it in a long time. I don't remember what's on the inside of the box.
Let's have a look.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it, guys. I mean, when I was a kid, we played it, and the questions we asked were like, "Do we have gas?" That kind of thing. So there you go.
The original Parker Brothers. It's got some stuff on the back.
The instructions.
How does the Ouija board work? Wherever you call it, whatever you call it, Ouija or Ouija, the Ouija board spells fun. Just ask it a question and wait to see the answer. The mystifying oracle will reveal it to you. So that's not even saying it's a spirit. That's like almost like a magic 8-ball.
Right.
Let's carry on. You and your partner sit opposite sides of the board with your fingers lightly placed on the indicator. One of you asks the questions. Now concentrate very hard on the matter at hand and wait for the indicator to move and begin to reveal the answer through the message window. Will it say yes? Will it say no? Will it give a number, or will it spell an answer? For decades, players have brought their questions to the Ouija board. What you do with the information it reveals is between you and the mystifying oracle, not spirit. Ouija is only a game, isn't it? ? And then game includes planchette. Be careful. No. Before you swipe with a cloth, get rid of moisture and dampness, blah, 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 blah. And then it's just got example questions that you can ask it. Will I pass my history test? Like the magic 8-ball. Should I? Is my holiday going to be good? The answer is uncertain. That's really interesting. But it doesn't even mention. Does it say it anywhere on here?
Good question,
No.
James.
Just says mystify an oracle.
Yeah.
Nothing about spirits.
James says, has the Ouija board been tested in laboratory conditions? You know what? I don't know, but that is a great question.
The best way to test it, and it wasn't laboratory conditions. So Penn and Teller were two magicians. They did a show called can I swear? The name of the show?
No, well, I know. Yeah, I know it's in Vegas. I don't.
The name of the show they did on it's called Bull Crap. We'll call it that. That's not what it's called, but they did a TV show, and on that show they got people to go on the Ouija board.
Oh
And
no, I
they
didn't
were
see that.
They were moving it about, answering yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and then they blindfolded them, and they turned the board the other way around. So instead of it being like this, it was now like this.
All
And
right.
They were only asking yes no questions, so they would either go over here or they would go over here. And when they turned the
Right.
board round, they were still going over here or over here. Which says a lot, doesn't it? It's a idiomotor effect.
Let's see.
100%.
Calamity says, I don't believe in the Ouija board. It's just a board game, in my opinion. Equivalents have been used throughout history, obviously named or referred to as different things. Yeah, and it's been around for a long time. Like you said, some it just might have been spirit boards or what the hell ever else they called it. It's been a while, and a long time ago I did some research on it, so I don't remember, all of the things that I found out about it. One of the bad parts of having fibromyalgia is, guys, your memory sucks. So I have to look stuff up all the time again. Automatic writing is fascinating to do, had some good results. I think it's cool that people can do that. Ryan, I do remember saying that your grandmother did it for years.
You get people to do pictures as well. It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
they just go like that with their hand, and then they've got like a full picture of someone. And I'm like, that.
It is
How have you
amazing.
done that without looking?
Exactly. Passes on the basis of automatic writing. If a pen can be involuntary movements or moves, surely a planchette can. Well, again, they've proven that the planchette moves by the vibrations of your fingertips. So it is, the energy from your fingertips is moving it. As far as
they people say that the reason they say they're so bad, this is the argument, because I argued, well, why do I need to put my fingers on it? Can I not just place it on the board and say, right, spell out a word for me, move the planchette? If you can throw that coin or lift that ladder, you can move that planchette. You know what I mean?
right,
But apparently, the reason people say it's so dangerous is because it's using you as a. It's using you.
right, you're the conduit for.
That's the word. I couldn't think of it. Yeah. Straight out, I was like, yeah, and that's what they claim.
Right.
Technically, you could still do it if you get a bunch of like really fine tokens about this big, like coins maybe, or plastic tokens, and you wrap them in an elastic band, and you put 4 of them on top of each other, and you attach that to the planchette, and then place your fingers on top of the token. If it genuinely is a spirit, it would move the planchette under your fingers, and those tokens would stay still. If you're moving it, the tokens would shift. And then you would know then for sure.
Pretty interesting, yeah. So Pop says, so vibrations could be moving pens in automatic writing then, yes or no?
Vibration pens. I don't know. I don't know too much on
I'd
it.
have to say I don't know, because I don't know too much about it either, but I think it has something to do with it. Because that vibrations, that energy, that connection to that object obviously is going to make it move somewhat. Again, like I was doing some testing on some pendulum, because I do pendulum readings for entertainment for friends. And they do have where they have stands for pendulums. So you can put the pendulum on the stand over the spirit board and then ask your questions. And I done that several times. It does not move.
Mhm.
As soon as I pinched the top of the chain that the pendulum was attached to, then it moved. And then went to the answer that I was looking for. So it proved to me that the vibrations from the human body were needed. That energy was needed for the object to move.
There's also the psychological effect that happens. A lot of ghost hunting companies out there will use very low forms of hypnosis and psychological effects. So, for example, they will do something called the human pendulum, and you will close your eyes and stand still, and they will say, "Can you move to your yes? Can you move to your no?" And you will involuntarily move. Someone did it on me, and I was moving without even realizing it. And I was like, "This is crazy." But then, like, for those of you that don't know me that well, I work within the magic community. I'm an entertainer by definition, and one of the things I do as entertainment is card tricks and stuff. So I know a lot of people that are proper, like, big time magicians, and this effect is very much known by hypnosis and mentalism people, like Darren Brown, for example. He'll tell you all about it.
Pretty amazing. Yes, Bill, my curtains are moving. It's Leroy. Leroy's
Mine are as
behind.
well.
Leroy's behind me. You can't see him, but he's going after the curtains. He goes, there they go again. Let's see. Sweet God says one of her mentors is a mentalist.
Like a magician mentalist, yeah. Like the when they I give them the word in your name. One of those types. Is that what you mean?
You'll have to elaborate, Sweet Goth.
Because that's normally what mentalist is. A magician mentalist. Darren Brown. For those of you know, do you know Darren?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No,
Oh wow.
no, I was had to think for a second. No,
I
I
tell you,
don't.
just look up anything. He did a whole thing on the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good watch. If you can find stuff on Darren Brown, so not Darren but Darren, so it's like DE, and then just type in paranormal debunking. There's like whole shows where he did a lot. He went to America.
Okay, Wayne
and,
knows him.
Yeah, he can do what some mediums say that they can do.
Oh,
He went to America and fooled other mediums by saying that he was a medium because they didn't know who he was. And he went in a room full of people and started giving them a reading and got everything was right. But he's not a medium. He has no connection to the spirit world at all. He's just using psychological techniques and Barnum statements. If you look it up, it's really interesting. I recommend it.
all right. Oh wait, Derek. Did you mean Derek Brown or
Darren?
Darren. Okay, he's saying Darren. They guys are saying Derek.
Darren. He actually, it might have been him that did the Ouija board where he turned it around. I always get him and Penn and Teller mixed up.
Penn and Teller mixed up.
Because they both debunked a lot of stuff. This isn't to say there aren't actual people out there that can communicate with the dead or have abilities and stuff.
Oh,
but there is a big portion of people that are using magic effects.
All right, so yeah, I'll have to look that up. No, I've never heard of him. James says I will love him. Okay, definitely will have to check it out.
I'll find the actual series that he did relating to the paranormal, and I'll send it to you in a message.
All right, that's fantastic. Sweet God said, love both Darren and Keith Barry, but I'm biased with Keith, obviously. Oh, yeah, no, to be honest, I've never heard of either one. So, yeah, see, don't know everything. Learn something new every day, which is great. Ann said, I saw the series. So, so there was a whole series that he did?
Yeah. He did a series and then he did a live show, and his live show was called Seance. And that was quite interesting. He had, do you know what a spirit cage box thing is? I can't remember what it's called, where they put the curtains up.
Okay.
And then the medium sits inside of the box.
Yeah.
The curtains close, and then they go, "Spirit, do something," and then items fly out of the thing.
You know, something I might have seen
or the
something like
bell
that. I
rings.
just don't recognize the name.
Yeah, that's all a magic trick. It's a really old technique that was done in the Victorian times. But
Amazing.
effectively, yeah, it's a magic trick.
Palm says when he matches the mixed up Rubik's cube on the table with the one on his back. So I'm saying I might have seen this, but I just didn't. I don't recognize the name. So yeah, I'll have to check it out again. And then Pop says he even hypnotized and trained an Englishman to be a faith healer, sent him to the States, and the Americans believed him to be genuine.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
This is
Wow.
why, right? Okay. So this is why I started off so skeptical, because when I was into the paranormal, I knew of Darren Brown, I knew of magic, I knew of the great James Randi, I knew of all these things that were people could fake things, I knew of all the charlatans, everything.
Right. So that
everything
pretty
like
much
that.
kills it for you, don't it? When you
So
know all of that.
I was like, I can answer all this. I can figure this out. It's all nonsense. I'm going to start a show, call it Haunt the Truth, and you know, I started it with Chris, and it was like, right, what we're going to do, we're going to go to the locations, film stuff, and then I'll figure it all out, and then tell people what's happening. But then that didn't happen. stuff actually happened, which didn't make sense. And I think
something you couldn't pick apart.
That's the people's biggest confusion with me, is not really understanding where I'm at with it. They're like, wait, are you a believer? Are you saying it's real? Are you saying it's a ghost? Or are you a skeptic? I'm just on a journey trying to understand it.
Yeah, it's like the rest of us. Yeah, because there have been things that, you know, you experience and you can debunk, like you said, and that's part of our job.
Yeah.
To pick it apart, try to find a scientific or just even a basic reason why something happened. And then there's times where you're like, oh shit, I can't explain this. So that's when you have to label it, unknown, paranormal, or whatever, because there is no answer, and that's why we keep going back.
Yeah. And I think that if you were to actually find fundamentally foolproof an answer, you would probably get shut down by the powers that be.
I believe you're right.
Like, let's say, for argument's sake, I had indisputable evidence that Jesus was the actual one true, religion, Christianity, and I have fundamental evidence to provide that. There's no way they would let me have that put out, because it would cause arguments, wars. Like, it would be absolute carnage.
Well, I mean, if you've done any religious study, you've known anybody that has any deep dive into the religious study, you're going to find that, yes, the Vatican has scripture and documents that are hidden from the world because there's truths in there that they don't want the people to know. So even though, yes, you believe that Jesus is the Savior, the one living God, but there's more to it, and there's so many gaps and things that are missing, that when people do come forth with some kind of information, it's always shot down because they don't want people to know this.
There's so much missing. I mean, we could go on all night with that, with the books that were removed and the, just extra stories that were taken out, people that retranslations which were translated wrong and stuff like that. Honestly, it would be
and if you don't know like any of the old languages and the old writing and all of that, you're not going to understand any of it anyway, where they're schooled in this stuff, so they know what to hide and what to release. James says, I feel like we are so crude and basic in our current understanding. We totally are. 1 minute we're screaming at demons, and then we're measuring sound levels. You're so right.
I know exactly what he's talking about there. Actually, it's the thing is as well, like when you're in location and you're in that moment and something weird is happening and it's late, you're scared, it's dark, that let's measure the sound levels ideology doesn't really come into play until you're back at home, calm, relaxed, and then you take a moment and go, hang on a minute, maybe it was this.
Right.
It's
See, our
really like,
imagination is our
that's
undoing.
the worst. I've got the worst as well. Like sometimes you don't see it in the episodes because I don't put it in because it doesn't fit the narrative. But sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I'll go, oh, imagine like now something just comes running towards us and pushes us flying, and everyone's like, Mark, why would you say that? Why would you say that? One of them, one of them is a short, and I'm in a care home with Josh, and this is on one of my shorts, and I go to him, because we're in this care home. I go, oh, imagine you go in there, you hear a bang, and there's like a little old woman sat in the chair going, hello, and he's just there like, oh no, 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 and it's like I'm my own worst enemy in places like that because my brain's constantly like going, what was if this happens? What was if that happens?
Exactly. That's why I think it's great that when you do an investigation, you always bring a skeptic, a critical thinker, always bring somebody like that along. Because when you let your imagination get, go amok, they're the ones that kick you back into place pretty much.
I was like full-time skeptic, and then I tell you now, right? This is what happens. It is. I think when activity happens for someone that believes, the reaction is not as powerful when it happens to somebody that doesn't believe.
Right.
Because I used to go to events and just be like, it's the wind, it's this, it's that, and condemn everything. I went to Snuff Mills for the first time. Yeah, like and they're saying, was very skeptical. I went to Snuff Mills for the first time, and there were things happening, and I was like, oh, that's the birds, that's a fox, that's animal, that's this, that's that. And I was at the end of the bridge, and I turned the camera to myself, and I go, well, it's going to be scary, isn't it? It's 2 a.m. We're in the middle of the woods. Of course, it's going to be a bit scary.
That's
then I
scary by
hear
itself.
Chris at the end of the bridge going, oh, I can't stand you anymore. And I go, oh, here we go. What is it? And he goes, oh, I can hear something moving. I'm like, oh, apparently you can hear something moving, right?
Squirrel.
All cocky, right? Cocksure. I walked to the end of this bridge going, what was it? He goes, oh, something down here. I'm like, apparently there's something down here. I get to the end of the bridge. I can see pretty much to where my door is over there in distance. There's a gravel path, and then all I hear is something run towards me that I can't see. And in that moment, it doesn't matter how skeptical minded I was, I crapped it. I backed up on the bridge. It was coming at me fast, like someone storming at me. As I backed up, my camera was all over the place, and I started going, and a gibberish come out of my mouth. I was like, with a load of effing and blinding, right? Had a little bit of a panic attack, and then logic kicked in and went, hang on, that must have been a real person. My $2,000 camera is there. Right? We all rock back
Save
up.
the camera.
Nothing's out of place. Nothing's moved. Everything's how it is. I've heard that running down there, I think like 3 other times since.
And what is the story behind the bridge?
The story of the area is there's lots. So June and Royston Shesby were 2 children in the 60s. They were killed and their bodies were dumped on the riverside embankment, and that's where they were found. They never found the killer. There's also the story of Elizabeth Somerset, who used to live in the old castle nearby, and she used to ride her horse through there. She fell off her horse and then later died of exposure, and apparently she still haunts that area. Then there's the story of the monk, and the monk, he got trapped supposedly in a tunnel which used to be in there when he was trying to hide from, he was part of like the clergy, and they were like killing them or something. I can't remember, back in the day. And he got trapped and died. And then there used to be an old mill there where a guy called Snuffy Jack used to work, and apparently he haunts that area. So those were the stories that was going off.
Right. Okay.
And there was at least activity down there. I don't know so much anymore. It's been quiet recently.
Oh, okay. Yes, and I want to say hi, Big Stu. Welcome. Let's see. Calamity says, I see I'm completely the opposite to this. I was a full believer, but now I'm becoming Lord and more skeptical. My belief is dwindling in spirits. I've always have that hope that I am skeptical now.
How
Um,
how are you doing it? Where are you going and who are you with? And how are you conducting the investigations? That's what I'd be interested to know.
right. Let's see if it's stopped for now. Was it? He was funding his experiments, so I'm assuming it must be. Okay. Then we've got pomp, off topic but interesting fact. Everything in existence and that has ever existed was named by the human brain, including the brain itself. Anybody and theory on how that's possible if there isn't a higher power?
Oh, okay, yeah. I was
I've
like,
seen it
where's
in
the rest of it?
the next
Oh,
block.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
there.
um. Well, the one of the things that is one of the most interesting things is there is a fundamental law in the universe that even though that we are intelligent beings with language that have created words, it spans across everything. So even if there was an alien race across the other side of the universe, the same fundamental law in physics will still apply. They might have a different word for it, like maths, for example, mathematics. That's just, we call it mathematics, and we call two two, and or and done, or cat sank, etc., depending on your language. But those numbers are universal, such as like the laws of gravity and things like that as well. They spread across vast amounts of the universe. So yeah, it's that is an interesting point to make, I suppose. And could there be a higher power? Could there be some being within a different dimensional realm that's created us? I don't know.
Right. Well,
All I
I
know is
believe
everything started at a
right.
singularity.
I believe there is a creator of some sort.
Because the
What you
universe
choose to
started,
call him is your choice, but something made everything. It just didn't
ev-
appear.
everything that is now started this big
So yeah, it's just it
and
all
expanded.
started. Yeah, it all started from somewhere. Thanks for joining us, Anne. We appreciate it. And I wasn't kidding. If you'd like to come on and be on the panel at some time, contact me and we could set up something.
Why is there
Uh,
always a monk involved? I don't know. What are the stories?
because they were around. That's why. They were all over. I mean, there was back in the day you couldn't sling a dead cat without hitting a monk. So Calamity said, sorry, what did your guest ask me? He was asking about how you conduct your investigations.
Yeah, and
Um,
why and what's made you become skeptical? Because I want to know if, like, what you're doing whilst investigating. Like, are you using dowsing rods and holding hands and doing a circle and using apps, for example, or are you doing it the old-fashioned way? Because I started off doing it the way that was the commercial way, which most haunted taught everybody. Hold hands, call them into your circle, have a seance, sit around a table, people talking to apps, people using spirit
yeah, I didn't do
boxes, people
that.
using cat balls. Don't even get me started on cat balls.
Cat balls. They were talking about that earlier today somewhere else. And I said, my cat doesn't even play with cat balls.
Right.
So just get rid of those.
So and throughout that about 6 years, I went to events and they were doing that, and no, that's what kept me skeptical for such a long time until I changed the method. So that's why I'm interested to know what his method is. Because that could be the reason.
Well, the other thing is it's also very disappointing. And a lot of people don't understand when they do get into this, or, they see other people like us doing what we do, and people in chat, what they do. The paranormal doesn't happen at the drop of a hat. You might have to go back 10, 20 times to one location before you'll even pick up a smallest sound. So I mean, it's a long, drawn out, boring process.
And there's other places you can go to, and it's like guaranteed.
Right.
I've had that, honestly. I've had places where I've gone, this is a hot spot, right? I'm going here 100 times, and it's just every time, like Clock Tower, which is well overdone now. I mean, there's someone there every single evening now, but every time I've gone there, without fail, in the room above the old living area, there's been banging, bum 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 on the roof above every time, and I've done it like 6 times now, without fail. It happens.
Isn't that
Beardo
amazing?
went there.
Is it? Did it happen every time at a specific time?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I always go with there where it's quite late. It's really late. I would say it's getting on for like 12 o'clock
Right.
in
So
that because there's like whole other areas. So I normally do the main tower, and then I leave the best to last. And I've taken several people there, and yeah, it's weird. A door opened by itself there as well, and closed by itself there.
amazing.
That's where the EMF moved on the banister, which some people speculate as some people don't believe it, but I'm not going to force somebody to believe it.
Right.
It happened, but I don't know how.
Exactly. Well, I'm trying to think. I think that happened to somebody else as well at a location, and they pretty much picked it apart, and they still couldn't figure out how it moved. Let's see, Ryan. Yeah, very boring. Usually to do real investigation, then sometimes saying exactly. You just got to be there at the right time. I always tell people, the spirit world, they're not performing monkeys. If they're willing to talk to us, then that's great. You've got it golden, but you just got to keep going back and hope for the best. That's all you can do. Let's see. I've taken people. Let's see. Big Stew. I've taken people and they expect an episode of Scooby-Doo with chaos at every turn. 75% of the time, it's not even a bump in the night. You're right.
Do you know what's to blame for that? People thinking there's chaos. People for the likes of Sam and Colby.
Yes.
Right? That's what's to blame for that.
Oh, yeah.
And they think that it's happened every single. I'm editing something at the moment in these woods that apparently are the most haunted woods near me, and I'm not really getting much at all. I'm clutching straws. I'm not going to lie. I'm going through it, going, well, I'm going to put that in because that's kind of creepy, but I think it's probably an animal. You know what I mean?
Majority of the time,
you've still got to create something that's tense, even though nothing's happening.
Right.
That's challenging as an investigator and a content creator. And then it gets like really bad views because people are just like, oh, that's boring.
Well, let's go watch the other guys. They get more stuff. Well, the stuff they're getting is not real. Well, let's see. Clancy says, I refuse to use equipment as it is all false positive and not fit for purpose. Exactly. I wish that somebody would collect data, get together. Everybody that's had years and years in the field, collect their data, see what they could come up with that would actually detect something. And people just haven't done that. He says, I will take a camera and that's it. We'll go with skeptics and believers, even when I believe I was logical. So he does it old school, and that's the way we do it. And that's the best way.
It's just, okay. Then it's just like persistence, basically. I would say, try not to find the places that are overrated. Try to find niche places that are not really known that much, places that haven't been overdone, places with some really gnarly stories, but they haven't really been overdone.
Right.
Those are the gems.
And that's what I would love to see.
Because
everybody has done all the, the famous stuff has been over, like 30's Drive has been beat to death.
If you can find someone that claims that they've got something in their house, and this is what you're looking for, right, in the stories. Items moving, items being thrown, knocking, banging, shadows. If these are top things in their stories, crack on.
Right.
And do it to death, because if there's any backing to that story, you're likely to get some stuff happen. I used to taunt quite a lot, which not everybody agrees with.
I think I get better results. I'm just sitting there having a general conversation. Just being nice, like you're talking to somebody sitting next to you. I think that works better for me anyway.
That's
Same
what
thing here.
Will was like in my team. He's very nice, very
Just
pleased.
yeah,
Thank yous.
you
It's
know,
I always,
make it known that you have no right to attach yourself to
yeah,
me and follow me home.
of
But
course.
I'm here just to have a general conversation.
I always say it always depends on what it is you're looking for. So, for example, if I went to a house where the person that died there was here's a good example. I recently went to a factory, which I might be doing an investigation at, and in that factory, Fred West used to work there. So, for those of you who know, Fred West and Rose West were serial killers. They killed thousands of people, hundreds of people, and buried them underneath their house.
Oh my goodness.
So, for that type of entity, the pleas and thank yous are out the window. It's simple as, right, Fred West, if you're here, come and do something you absolute effing and blinding, because of the context of who it is.
Right.
But then obviously if you said, oh, my nan died in this house, I wouldn't be like, right, Eileen, come on, you silly effing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be like, Eileen, if you're here, could you please come and do something? I'm here out of respect, etc. It's context. It depends what it is. It's there.
Right. Pom says, why does why does nobody on YouTube put flour on the floor or use trigger objects?
I have. Not the flower thing, because I just know that I'd end up getting it everywhere because I'd walk through it myself. Because I'm clumsy like that. I'd forget it's there and walk through it. I know. I end up putting sensors down and I just bloody knock them over all the time. But the trigger objects I've done, there's a teddy up there. There's one behind me, over there. Oh, you can't really see it. He's there next to Freddy.
Okay. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
That was in an old abandoned farmhouse, and I put it on the stairs, and I was like, "If this is your teddy, knock it down the stairs. You've got all night to do it." Didn't do it. So yeah, I've been known to do that. I feel like, I mean, you've seen some of my stuff, and some people here might have seen some of my stuff as well, but I feel like I don't do it the same as other people. That the way I investigate.
Right. It's good to have your own, your own way of doing things. I wish people would document more, more towards the scientific aspect, write things down, because, well, we've got it on film. No, you still need to catalog it, write it down, because then when you go back, you want to check those parts and retest every time you go back.
But this is assuming it's a location which you're going to revisit a lot.
Right.
Like if it's a one-off, like 3 hours away, and it's like, I don't need to.
I would, I would still, I just document.
You still do it.
Thinking thing there, because you just don't know. Wayne says it's possible that we have already have proof, but even then, could be classed as been fake. I do agree with you. I love the debunking community. I think they are needed for the people that throw out the false garbage. I call them the paranormal police, but I've asked questions many times. Do you think that we have gotten to the point where we debunk ourselves out of actual evidence? Do you think that we have gotten to that point, Mark?
Well, I mean, it can get to a point where, and I used to do this, where you start trying to come up with reasons and they're just so far-fetched that it's just stupid. I think that if you're going to debunk something, you need to have evidence to debunk it as much as you need evidence to prove it. You need it on both sides of the table. You can't just make an assessment on something based off of limited evidence. You can make an educated guess. So, like, my curtain is blowing behind me right now. And, I've got my headphones on, so I can't hear much. But if I took them off, I'd be able to hear the wind blowing it.
Right.
But I'm taking an educated guess that that's the wind and not some entity doing that.
Right.
And now,
mine's caused by the fan, guys.
Now I have the evidence because I can take my headphones off.
Right.
So I think unless you know concrete 100%, you can't really because you don't know. You don't know if it is something. Exactly. I think you need to sit on the what if. So this is what I like to do.
Be on the fence about it.
So something might make a noise, for example. So I might hear something that's like that, right? and they'd be like, what the hell was that? And I'm like, right. And then I'm thinking I'm in the woods. So I'm like, right, if that wasn't an animal, because my brain's gone animal, if that wasn't an animal, do it again and do it right here in front of me. Wait, nothing. Okay, probably an animal. I don't 100% know that it's an animal because I haven't seen the animal go, ah, but percentage-wise, it probably is.
Right.
But I still let the audience decide at the end of the day.
Sure.
Because I don't want to...
Well, that's the big help because they'll see or hear something that you might not catch.
Yeah.
Stu says some internet channels have a 100% success rate. That's not me. No. That they can find spirits in the middle of the desert on the moon at high noon. Yeah, and people still buy it. You're right, Stu. They do. But that's what sells. That's what it is. That's what sells.
Do you know, I got told ages back, somebody was like, you always get stuff happening. Like someone made that argument with me, and I was like, hang on, no, I don't. I was like, you're only watching the fan favorites.
Right.
I was like, go watch everything. There's at least...
Yeah.
I was like, you're just watching the top... You've literally scrolled through and watched the videos which have got the top views. Guess what? Those are the ones that have a lot going on. Go watch the one with 100 views. You know what I mean?
And you're just standing there, you know.
Yeah. Those ones are boring.
See, Calamity said, I had my own personal experiences, and although I believe them to be real, that's not evidence of spirits. I've even debunked one of my own experiences from childhood through going back to my old home. Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm.
The experiences I have had, I can't debunk because they're... How do you debunk? You know, you're going through your back hall and you hear somebody say your name in your ear, and you're the only one home. You know, it's not like somebody's yelling through the... Yeah, I'm the only one home. So it's...
way to say that would be something is, oh, I must have been going mental. That's probably what I would do. I'd be like, nah, I was going mental. And
no,
then
it's happened more than once.
Because I got camera. Oh, okay, that's weird.
Hi, lovely Karen. No, there are things that happen here in my home, but I stand by a solid rule. I do not investigate my own home. Otherwise, I could probably make a fortune off of the stuff that I catch here. But it's, yeah, I'm not going to stir up something that I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it this way. We live here in harmony and peace. Every now and then something does go on. And I'm just like, yep, okay. And I just keep going. Let's see. Stu says, fact or faked was a good example. They would recreate a ton of paranormal videos. I appreciate that they would say at least say just because they can recreate it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one because usually if you can recreate it, then well.
I've always thought this when doing things like when I've caught things which are like really out there that have happened. I've always thought like, because I always think about what I'm really bad with, like, oh, what are the debunkers going to think? I overthink the debunkers.
Right. Well, yeah, you're wondering if you're going to get slaughtered and you put it out there.
And it's actually made me get a little bit over obsessive.
Right.
Like I need to have a camera facing that. Like I'll go out with people, and it's no longer, hey, let's have a good evening and investigate and do a bit of old fashioned, without the worry of cameras and stuff. That's gone out the window because of my like if you were to come out at me, you'd be like, bloody hell, Mark, chill out. Because I'm like, right, you need to stand there, don't move outside of that shot there, you need to be on that camera. Hang on, where are you going? If you've got a camera, don't go down that corridor without a camera. Right? Is there a camera on you? No, there isn't. Well, what happens if something happens? If something happens and you're down there, guess who's getting the blame? You are. Honestly, the investigation's out the window then, because I'm spending the whole time telling people where to stand, where to do, how to act, what to say, and I find that this could obviously dampen people's experience because I'm conducting it like do this, do that, and I come across bossy. But what they don't realize is I'm the one that gets it in the neck if something happens.
Once you put it out there and they're like, oh, he's full of shit.
And and they're not in view. It's like, oh, yeah, of course you're not in view.
That's usually how that happens too. Hi, Admit, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hello, the lovely Karen. How are you doing, doll? Let's see. Let me catch up here. Let's see. Science is considered fact, but fact told by people or human study and experimentation, etc. Who's to say they weren't wrong?
Fact of the human study is. What? Who's to say science isn't wrong? Well, science
Right.
is not. Science is the thing with people with science. People think that it's a group when science is just it's just the answer. It's just like fundamental. It just is. It's always been there and it always has been there and it always will be there. And we just happen to discover it.
Right.
It's like
Hi, Jonathan.
you know, this bottle of Vaseline is a bottle of Vaseline. You know what I mean? It's always it's hard to say when it comes to like fundamental laws and stuff. I don't know if that was the question or not. Don't overthink, Mark. I do overthink. That's my problem.
I think we all do.
I need Beardo to come on and just be like, Mark, calm down.
Calm down. Let's just look at it this way.
just make a fun video.
Right.
Have a good time doing it. Put your narrative out. Don't worry. I don't think that you're doing anything. Just chill out. You don't have to have everybody on shot. Calm down. That's what I want. I want them all to turn around and say that to me so I can be like, right, okay, right. We're just
yeah, just do your thing,
right? Are you going you down there? Don't worry about
it. And Mid says, I can't debunk, but would have if I could have thought I had psychosis. You know, not everything could be debunked. That's the thing.
Good night, Pomp.
Let's see. Oh, good night, Pomp. Thanks for joining us. I know I'm behind on chat, guys. I'm trying to catch up. Oh, here we go. Big Stew. An example. I was in my basement and heard footsteps walk across the hardwood floor above me and stopped at the steps. I could easily recreate that with another person. However, I was home alone.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. How do you explain that?
And I've had this happen.
Me too.
I've got an episode coming out probably next month in a care home, and I've got like these. They're kind of like REM pods, but they're not REM pods. They're like sensors where if you go near them, they go off. They go blip, 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 like they're old. Anyway, I've got one of those. They're meant to be to detect spirits as well, but I love using them just as general motion sensors.
Right.
I got one of them at the entrance to come in and out of this care home. Only one way in and one way out. Me and Will are in there on our own. And then all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. 3 different locations, really loud, like someone going boom on a big door or something, right? He instantly goes, no, there's someone here. There has to be a homeless guy here. Straight to that.
Right. Well, automatically, that's what you're going to think.
We search every room.
Right.
No one's there. So much like what he's saying now. When you're alone and you know the only one's there, what's that?
What is it? Right.
How can something do that? And
well,
I believe
the next step would be,
happened,
and the next step would be, well, it's rodents of some sort. All right,
well,
Stu,
okay,
you got like big rats running around your house.
Right. Now I know for a fact that there's either rats or squirrels going through the vent system of this hospital. I know that for a fact because you hear them. You go there and they go
right
through the vents. And I made a joke on the last episode because the noise was so loud it got picked up on the camera downstairs. How loud it was, the audio got picked up on it. And I said, well, if this is a rat, the rat must be stomping around in Dr. Martens because I'm not an animal expert, but unless the rat is like the size of me storming about in events, I don't know how it's going boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean?
Right.
How the hell is it doing that?
And that's one hell of a heavy rat.
Yeah.
Or it's
you can hear them
work
scuttling
boots
around all the time.
See, because that's one of the things that I have happening here is that it's really late at night. And I've heard this from many people that I've had that spent the night at our home that wanted to know who was walking back and forth up in our attic. And I go, don't worry about it. You're okay. It's nobody. Because I don't want to scare the crap out of anybody, but it's heavy footsteps, like somebody in heavy shoes or work boots.
And this happens in your house.
And this happens in my house, and it's really late, between 2 and 4 in the morning.
The only
So
thing I would say to check, this is just me
Go
being
ahead.
me. I had something similar in my house, and it turned out that the vent that takes the air from the toilet, I think it's called the Durga valve,
Right.
had come slightly loose, and for some reason, at certain intervals, it would be banging against the side, which would then send a vibration across and sound like it's moving about above me.
Right. Yeah. No, that ours is, we've checked that. It's solid. It's old cast iron.
Oh, okay. Then,
So
yeah,
it's,
not bad.
it's not going
That's
anywhere.
the only thing that I could think of, because I was like, hang on, I've had that happen.
So something's walking around up there. And then also I had another time where we heard something roll the whole length of the attic. And I went and checked. The only thing that we have up there that's round is a bowling ball.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Ooh.
was over by the stairs, and it made it towards the front of the attic. And, you check the level, you check there's no slope to make the ball roll in that direction. So I don't know.
My sister spook lots of science only goes to theory, not fact. Physics is broken all the time. Well, first and foremost, that's the beauty of science, is that things can change and they can develop on certain things and ideologies and stuff. And I think Ricky Gervais once said that if you got rid of every single religious book and every single scientific book and burnt them all in 100 years' time, all the scientific books would still be exactly the same, more or less. But there are theories in science, but there are also this is what many scientists say. Neil deGrasse Tyson is one of them. There's scientific facts, which are fundamental laws, such as you cannot physically go faster than the speed of light. I'm playing devil's advocate,
Right.
because I like to look into both sides of the story, the paranormal and the science. I think there's a link between them two. I just think that there needs to be a conversation had where there needs to be a little bit of leeway on both sides. And then I think we might find the actual answers.
Yeah. Eventually, anyway. Calamity says, I agree that just because something isn't scientifically possible doesn't mean impossible. Science is based on theory and done through a repetition of experiments that produce the same outcome. Exactly.
Yeah, more or less what I said about the books.
Right.
They'd be recreated because it's pretty much exactly the same.
It says, yes, this can be wrong. That's why we see these investigators and theories will differ between scientists. Yes, because some will agree, and it's proven they've done it. You've seen it on programs even in documentation where scientists will disagree with each other on how something is done or how it happens. So even science might not come up with the true answer.
There's some stuff which is literally just not even theory, it's hypothesis. Like they don't know what happens at the center of a black hole. Once you go past the event horizon, no one knows. So different people have different ideas of what
I think it's a gateway to something else.
That is one of the theories, believe it or not. There is one out there which said that it is the start of another universe, and the reason our universe began is because it's the back end of another black hole. That's one perception.
Amazing, yeah. Again, another reason why you could think, well, when people have UFO experiences, how did they get here so quickly?
Every wormholes, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, yeah, you got those black holes are a gateway through maybe the universes or the dimensions or wherever they're coming from.
I love the experiment. Where is it to? Can I do the experiment? I need paper. So basically, what you're suggesting, I'll do it on a bit of card. Here's a card. So the universe is, a lot of people see it as this. So this is one end of the universe, and this is the other end of the universe. And you imagine that's like 1 billion light years from there to there. What you're saying is, instead of traveling across the fabric of space, you just bend it. and then you can travel
You're taking that shortcut.
straight through like that.
Yep, the shortcut.
Yeah. There we go. Science with Mark.
There you go. Ta-da! Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It could be just a shortcut that we don't know how to use. Let's see. Admit says, she goes, I'm not sure we would survive a black hole as humans.
You'd have to
She said
stabilize it.
the pressure would be immense. Well, saying that, so saying we don't have that technology yet.
The main problem with it is that the smaller ones, you will become like spaghettified and you stretch. But this doesn't happen in supermassive black holes. So it potentially, if you had the right technology for it, you could pass the event horizon of a supermassive black hole, not get spaghettified, but nobody knows what will happen once you actually reach the center. Because everything pretty much gets torn apart, but energy can't be destroyed. And some of it comes out, some of it leaks out as Hawking radiation, which has only been recently discovered.
So yeah,
we're getting deep now into science.
There's so much that we just don't know, and eventually, I think eventually we will find some answers to a lot of these questions.
I hope so.
Me too, because there's room for advancement. I think we just have to go a different route, think things differently. Hopefully the next generation will have more modern thought towards, science and what's going on. Of course, we still haven't figured out everything that's on our own planet yet.
They don't know it. This is what I keep saying, like when we're not, like there's people out there which will completely, and I was one of them, that will completely roll their eyes at the idea of paranormal, the idea of ghosts, the idea of demons, the idea of even taking the moment to actually sit down and go and look at a video and go, okay, that's interesting. That item's moved from A to B. It's gone across a room. Instead of just going, oh, it ain't real, it's fake, that can't happen. They won't accept it because they're like, no, that's not how science works. Well, I argue, no, actually, that is exactly how science works. Because there's loads of things that we don't know. They've only just discovered dark energy and dark matter, which takes up 95% or something like that of the known universe. Here we go, right? As a paranormal investigator, I go to a location, I film an item, go from here to here. Okay, so I've got the effect of it happening. I don't know what the cause is, so I say that is, let's call it spooky objects movement. I don't know, right? Okay, that they don't accept. Oh, no, that's not something. However, something that they can't see, which is making the universe expand and keeping the galaxies together, but they can't see what's doing it, they call it dark energy and dark matter.
Right.
Is that not the same argument that I'm making? I can see the item moving across the room.
Right.
But I don't know the cause. You can see the universe expanding, but you don't know the cause.
Right.
It's identical. It's like the ideology behind it is identical.
Yeah, but they don't see it that way.
But they go, oh, no, that can't happen. Well, your universe isn't expanding then in that case.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, like you said, you get a lot of people say, oh, if you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, then it doesn't exist. You can't even go through that because air exists and we can't see it, taste it, or, it's here though. Big Stu says, if we found any answers, it would destroy religion. I would be surprised if we know more, but it's being suppressed. Yeah, we were just saying that earlier, Stu, before you popped in, that, the Vatican has documentation and stuff that they keep hidden purposely because it is a control issue. I think if we found out the truth hidden behind those walls,
I will tell you,
it would change a lot of things.
Who knows what got lost in the Alexandria libraries? Who knows what was in that? There's so much stuff that was in that got taken out. Yeah, here we go. 5%. So ordinary matter, me, you, gravity, what we can see, the wind. Yeah, 5% of that is what's in the universe. The rest of it is taken up by two forces we can't see.
Yep. So you
And
can't
yet
see
they
it.
won't accept paranormal.
Right. Because you can't, yeah. And like you
It's
said,
the
it's the
same.
same argument. It is the same argument. You gotta, that's why I always tell everybody, you have to be open to all of the avenues, involving this, because
Mm.
it's not just cut and dry. It's just not. And just like with the universe, nothing is cut and dry. There's so much we don't understand and don't know.
We are
So
right.
much that is hidden from us,
There could
from
be,
our own governments, not to mention just, religions and all of
for all
that.
we know, the idea of God and the idea of spirits and the idea of demons and the idea of whatever this is in these locations. I mean, it's been called different things over time by different people and different belief systems. I'm probably like back in the day when Stone Age people were going around, they probably still had names for it back then. But it's there. It's a real thing. But I think it's so far and beyond our comprehension. Like, let's use God for example. That is so far and beyond our comprehension that trying to understand something like that fully would be like telling an ant in the road that there's an entire world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That ant could never perceive or understand the ideas of what we know, gravity, for example.
Right.
It just wouldn't understand. It couldn't compute it because its brain can't physically handle that.
Right.
And I think that's why we can never find out an answer, because I don't think that we're mentally able to actually figure it out. It's too far out of our comprehension. It's on another level of intelligence.
Right. Admit says we can't hear, but can record it. We can't see, but we can photograph it. Exactly. And they always have some kind of explanation why you're hearing something or seeing something in a photograph, but it's not always what they say it is. So, and like she said, yeah, it's breaking the programming we receive as kids. That's the problem. We are all programmed to believe in certain things and certain ways. And then when you get people like us who think outside the box because we're questioning it. Well, this happened to me. Why? What was it? And how do I explain it?
Sometimes you just have to go, that happened, I don't know. Here you go, guys. Well, for me, it goes, that happened, I don't know. Can you do it again? No. Okay. You decide. That's Haunted the Truth in an essence. I go somewhere, something happens, I go, I don't know how that's happened. I tried figuring it out, I have no idea. What do you guys think? I just pass it over. I go, I'm gonna put that to bed. I'm not thinking about it anymore. It's up to you lot. That's the idea now. I can't.
Or even you think, well, why is
otherwise.
it picking me? Why is something trying to communicate with me?
People start
So
going, you've got an attachment, or you've got this, or you've got
I think
that.
it's just because you're more people are open than others, and if that's what is going on, they're going to, of course, communicate with you or the other person because you're the one open to receive that communication.
Yeah.
Where total skeptics are like, nah. And I don't think they'll ever have any experience, because even if they did, they wouldn't believe it. They would talk themselves out of what happened.
I think I did do that initially. There was an asylum that was near me, Barrow Gurney it was called, and looking back now, there was moments that we were walking down a corridor on one of the occasions, and there was projectiles coming at us from behind, and you could hear it all being chucked. And there was only 4 of us in there, and everyone else was really scared. And then I'm just there going, well, it's an old building, isn't it? Where we're walking down the corridor, we're creating a vibration, and that vibration's creating a butterfly effect, and it's making debris fall behind us.
Right.
I've been to like hundreds of abandoned buildings, and that's never happened again.
See, amazing. Hey, Steve, how's it going? See, that's somebody we should have brought in on the conversation. Steve knows.
Another one was a bit of glass come down a corridor, and it hit a wooden thingy and landed on the floor, and it was about this big. And I turned round and basically said, well, it could have been hanging from a window, and a bit of wind could have come through the window, dislodged it, and taken it through the air and hit the wall. Honestly, everything was like, no. Now I just go, I give up.
Stu says the ant analogy sounds like the internet, lol. But internet ants have very strong opinions and loud voices. How about how you're wrong? Oh yeah, that's why I always tell everybody: if you're putting it on YouTube, you're going to be slaughtered. That's just a given. So you either just let it roll off your back or stop doing YouTube.
Yeah.
Ahmed said Mark used to wear helmets on Explorers.
I sometimes still do in abandoned buildings, but that's safety.
So yeah, so nothing drops on your head.
For that
Oh, there you
sense,
go.
like still toe caps. But if it was a place like Snuff Mills, for example, was known for being quite active with throwing stones, and it got to a point where I'd still go down there with a helmet on, and sometimes I wear these special glasses which are protections against your eyes,
Right.
because because I go down and wind it up so much, if there genuinely is something there. And I've seen stones come out of like areas where they shouldn't in Snuff Mills, and if I don't want one of them clapping me in the head, you know
I
what
don't blame you.
So I don't care if like what people think and feel about, if they believe that it's there or what they think it is and what they think it isn't or anything like that. The fact is it happens, and whatever's causing it, don't worry about that. I'm still putting a helmet on because I'm not going to think about what's causing it. I'm going to go safety first.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you're going into a place that could be like 100 and something years old. Who
Yeah,
knows what's going to be dropping out of the sky?
When bricks come flying. I wouldn't even go there.
Especially if you got like squirrels or something running around in the rafters and they're knocking stuff down.
There's that as well. I mean,
yeah,
with the Snuff Mills one, I've been there about 350 times or something silly now. And I even called the local zoo. And I was like, look, is there anything at night that can launch stones? Am I disturbing anything that's gonna pick up stones and attack me with the stones, like bats? And they said bats don't do that. They didn't tell me this, but I recently found out that some crows actually do. But
oh yeah, they'll pick stuff up and throw it.
Yeah, you normally know about it because all you hear is
yeah.
And I've never heard that in Snuff Mills.
So yeah, Stu said you'd be safe with Ghost Adventures. Their bricks are on strings. Yeah, they are. It's terrible. I mean, you guys probably heard me say this before. Just once when I used to watch that show, please, somebody get hit with the brick. just once.
I've seen one come out of a river, not a brick, a stone. So the river was to my right, and we were on the embankment, and I was filming, looking forward, and it comes at like an arc like that over from the river, which means it would have come. I mean, you could argue if the water is strong enough, could it have kicked a stone out of the water and into the air? But then it was dry. So
right. So, but at least you thought that in that direction.
Yeah. I thought that's one of the many things that I consider down there, because it's a river running under the bridge.
Calamity says, I'm class as a debunker, though I don't classify myself as one. As you know, Laura, I have had my fair share of people saying I'm wrong about research. They delete their comments if I ask for their info and info why. Yeah, that's you have to debunk. That's part of the job.
I've even said to people like, even though I've had my fair share of people questioning things and saying they think it's this and it's that, I feel like I've been very open to people. I'm very happy to answer questions. I have original footage.
Yeah.
When I think it's worth keeping. If it's like an odd noise or a little bang or a little click, I'm like, well, it could be anything. I don't bother keeping that. But big things, I keep them. So it's for anyone, because Lee from Really Haunted did that to me. What he's saying. I tried getting hold of Lee, and I was like, look, this is really great stuff you've got here. Can I come and investigate? Do you know what he said? He said, no, I don't want you filming my family home and putting it on the internet. I'm like,
That's
what you
because
mean
he's
the
not in
home that you
control.
put on the
Yeah,
internet?
exactly. Because he's not in control.
And then he
Boy, I
called
tell
me
you,
a stalker.
he's a piece of work.
Honestly.
But also research. Research is just the most important.
Yeah.
And anybody that is doing this for the real deal, yeah, debunking and doing research is just part of what we do.
Research into what respect? Like the area or?
Or yeah, I mean, if you're doing, you research the stories, you research the area, the history, all of it. You've got to go down all of those paths just to make sure that okay, somebody just didn't feed you a line and I'm filming it because it's real. How many times you've heard real investigators do the research and then come up, listen, all the stories that were told about their place are bullshit.
Do you know what? I've even fallen into that trap. Like some places which I've heard a story on that you've searched on the internet, like the clock tower is one of them. So I got told the story was that work people that back in the day were worked really really hard, that there was children labor, and that they were worked so hard that people died there and all this sort of stuff. And this was a story I found on the internet. I researched on the internet, and there it was on the internet. And then I put it up there, and then I got a phone call from the committee, and they were like, that story's not true. It was made up by someone else.
There you go.
And then it got rolled out as being fact, and it isn't fact. So then I made another video going, I recently found out that this isn't true.
Right. Yeah. So you
It's
got to
haunted
keep
the truth. I've got to tell the truth.
No, that's what I'm saying. You can't just do the internet research. You've got to contact local, organizations, like your historical societies,
Yeah.
and official offices to get the dirt on the real deal. And I think that's the difference between an investigator,
Yeah.
and a ghost hunter. And I mean, we've had this discussion many times. Watching Steve's program, if if you're investigating and you do it the right way, and most real investigators don't post their stuff on YouTube.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, there's
Most of them don't.
that's I've had our like one of my friends is science. He's in computational science, and he said to me that if I wanted to take it seriously from a scientific point of view, I wouldn't be creating it for entertainment. I'd be documenting it and keeping the documentation for myself to then put out as a study and then make it as a documented study rather than a, hey guys, welcome back, this is Haunted the Truth. My issue is that, I've got a media degree and I'll be damned if I don't do something with it. So, and I love to entertain people.
Right.
But then I also love the paranormal and the idea of the paranormal and trying to figure things out. So it's like I'm trying to make something entertaining, but then at the same time, I'm trying to keep a scientific mindset. And I think the two conflict quite a lot. You might have hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. But the thing is, I think because you're sharing it with the public, it's an education. And that's how I take it.
This nocturnal radio, you can't
Yeah,
claim
Steve.
evidence that isn't known, right? I've been saying this for ages, but there's people out there that it does their heads in that I don't like saying it's paranormal. I didn't like saying the word ghost hunt. Like when people used to go, "Are we going ghost hunting later?" I used to be like, "No, we're going on a paranormal investigation. It's not a ghost hunt. Don't put me under that label." Well, it is ghost hunting because we're looking for ghosts, aren't we? Like, what are we doing there then if it isn't ghosts? Well, it could be anything. It could be ghosts, could be demons, could be entities, could be dimensional beings, or it could be nothing. And I was
the bum that lives in the bushes. You don't know.
Yeah. I was in constant bickering of people because one of the big arguments was, well, if you've had so much happen, how can you not call it paranormal? I think even Parple said to me once, he couldn't understand that with the extreme activity that I was getting in certain episodes, why I was still so firm with my skepticism, because anybody in their right mind would just convert instantly from seeing such things. That's
Right.
kind of the route he was going down. But then I stood firm with the idea that, like, well, Neil deGrasse Tyson says it as well, which is, just because I don't know what it is doesn't necessarily mean that it's of a paranormal cause.
Right. Yes, Steve. Those who are on YouTube are paranormal influencers, sadly, but not all. Not all, but most is what he's saying. Yes, I do agree with that. Like I said, the majority of us that do share anything that we've done, like what Steve does, he'll share some of the stuff that he does, and you share yours. It's
Mhm.
more for educational purposes. Um, because you guys don't go around screaming demon and oh, and running and all that
No,
crazy garbage. It's you're showing the world the data that you have collected on that specific
you put it
location.
together with a little story. We're going here. Here's the story.
Right.
This is what some people think. We're gonna see if there's anything actually here.
Right.
What a lot of people do is, this is what most paranormal people groups do, or ghost hunters do. They go to a place. So let's say there's an old manor, and the story is there's a grey lady there. They go there with the perception of, there is a grey lady there. We're going to prove it. I go there with the perception of, really? Okay, let's see. I'll figure it out if I can.
There's
But
always a gray
let me.
lady, a
Yeah,
white
that's why I
lady.
chose the grey lady. There's an headless horseman in my local castle. He sits in the window, but you can't see him because he's got no head.
Oh my goodness. Thanks, Admit. Thanks. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Steve says here, I'm not looking for ghosts. I'm looking to explain the unexplainable. That's the same thing. Yes. And that's why I never call it, oh, it's paranormal or, it's evidence. I'm not calling it that. I'm calling it data. I'm collecting data. Like any other scientific person would. You're collecting data to see if you can come to an explainable conclusion. It
Yeah,
might never
don't get me
happen.
wrong. When something weird happens, I, like I was saying earlier, when I was saying, oh, when items fly across rooms without cause and reason, we don't actually have a word for that apart from poltergeist activity. That doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean that it really is a poltergeist according to law.
Right,
That's
right.
just the only word we've got for it at the moment, because there isn't another one. And I can also say things like, this is displaying what people would consider to be paranormal.
Yeah.
I firmly believe the word haunted can be used as well. I
I
think
think
you
this is
can
the words
say
that
a
everybody
I
knows.
think you can say a place is haunted, because
Right.
it doesn't necessarily mean by a ghost. Like,
Exactly. Hey, face the eights.
you could have like something tragic happen years ago, and you could say that, and it's still bothering you to this day, and you are haunted by your past. There's no ghosts involved in that. So I think the word haunted could definitely be used
So it's
to
yeah.
describe a location where there's weird things going on.
Well, you're pretty much just stating the obvious is that these are the labels that people have created for
Yeah.
specific things, so that we are used to using those things. I try to stay away from that. It's hard, but it's when you're used to saying one thing and then you're trying to change it. I think that's where people would get caught up.
Yeah, yeah.
Stu said the science approach is tough for the average person. Yes, it is. Most of us aren't scientists. The best we can do is gather data and present the logical hypothesis. And I agree. I think that's what we're all who are serious about doing this. That's what we're doing. We're collecting the data and see what the outcome is.
The time when it gets difficult is when you're trying to gather the data and stuff to come up with maybe a pattern or figure something out, or see whether it happens at certain times sketch, like you're saying, or things like that. And then you think you're on to something, and then you then go to the next few places and it's
Right.
completely the opposite.
Exactly.
And then
Nothing
there's
is
some
ever the
things which
same.
make no sense at all. There's just things that,
The world of the unknown. Emmett said, logical for whom, though? Us or the mainstream, I find it hard to talk about unless I'm with like-minded people. You know what? I find, and I know a lot of people go through that, but when people say, "Well, gee, what are you doing?" or this, that, and I explain what I'm doing. I explain how I do it, and they are just amazed by it. They're like, "Oh my God, that is so cool!" And because I think a lot of people just don't realize that we actually do exist, and we do these things. Um, Compared to like you see the ones, the big wigs on YouTube. They go to that extreme just to get their clicks and their views. I get it. That they're making the money. but
then
go
the
ahead.
problem with those people is like then when things do happen to that extent, which are actually happening, then no one else believes it. Is that what you mean by the people that are doing stuff on YouTube that are faking? Is that what you meant?
What I mean, or what is she talking about?
I don't know. I tell you,
She's saying that she's finding it hard to talk unless she's with people with the same mindset, because you're going to be judged by people.
Yeah, and the reason you get judged by people is because there's people out there that are being dishonest. So then no one believes anything anymore.
Right. Calamity, thanks for joining us. Great questions. Thank you for being a part of it.
If you've got any questions for me of anything as well, if there's any episodes that you think, hang on a minute, I'm not having that.
Right. Spit out the questions, guys.
Me.
Sleep well, Calamity, and we'll see you next time.
Let me show you this. I don't know if it's going to work.
Oh, I have an itch.
Right. Watch this stone here. Wait for it. It's right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's a stone going from the floor and launching up off into the air. And as it goes off, it hits the wall to the right and it splits.
Amazing catch.
And that sort of thing is, like you were saying, like when you get things like that, going back to your comment of trying pattern and trying to figure things out.
Right.
You know what I mean? What have you got?
Yeah. Hard to explain.
It's
face the ace. You know the difference between spirit and ghost spirit is real ghosts. It's not real. It's a legend story.
Spirit, ghost, spirit. I might need to elaborate on that.
Yeah, face the ace. Elaborate on the question that you're asking. Do you want to know if Mark knows the difference between a spirit and a ghost, or are a spirit and a ghost the same as or legend story? You're kind of vague on what you're asking. So help us out, Dal, and reword it for us. And it said there's a lot of fakers, but humans judge. My sister was a non-believer till I took her to I'm probably going to mash this up, Shepton Mallet prison. Okay. And Mark, you have been there. Can you talk about it?
Well, I went there with a team that it was like a ghost hunting team. You get these events, and and they use techniques like all holding hands and cat balls and dowsing rods and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And I never really had too much happen when I went myself, but it was just to get some idea of what it was like. There was a moment in there where we were all holding hands in this big circle, and one of the people was with us, and she was like, "Oh, I can feel a cold coming behind me." And by this point, I'd been to a few, so then they switched with me, and I stood there, and they were like, "So what are you feeling then, Mark?" And I went, yeah, it is cold actually. And I looked behind me, and in the cell, the window was open. So I kind of kept finding reasons the whole night. If you knew me back then at Middle Dusty and I was at that event with you, I'd have done your leading Ed in. Because you would have been going, nah, this is real good experiences. And I'd be going, nah, it's this, nah, it's that, the whole night. Because that's what I was like. I don't know. Can I say this? We're past the watershed. This is how mad. Like some people call me Mad Mark as well, right? I can't believe
I've heard that.
Right? I went to one of the old wings. I can't remember if it was Shepton or Gloucester prison, but it was one of them. And on the wing, it was one of the wings where they would put people that had been done for sex offences.
Okay.
That's what it was used for at the time. And they said that it was like one of the worst wings and stuff like that. And I went there on my own and pulled a mooner. And I said, if there's any spirits that pulled a mooner, so basically you pull your trousers down.
Okay.
Go like that,
You
right?
mooned them, okay.
And I was going, come on then, do something, like that, right? Because of the area that I was in.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I was proper winding them up. Nothing happened. I kind of wish that I was in the mindset.
You presented yourself and you were denied.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that now. I wouldn't risk it.
Oh my goodness.
Not after the things I've seen.
Right. Let's see.
No one else was there.
Mark pulled a Mooney. Okay.
I was on my own.
So, see, and he was on his own, so nobody could witness it either.
Bunch of people have on boots behind me. See, that's weird if I heard something like that. I'd like to go back there privately and do it. The same with Gloucester, but it costs too much money. It's like
That's the downside.
One of them wanted 2,500. What now?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And I get it. They charge money so that they can, help support, the property. But
400. What for private?
Holy mackerel! It's just ridiculous.
Some of them, I know one of
go
them.
places that you know locally and it's free, and that's what everybody's looking for.
I've still got the email somewhere.
Wow.
Some people don't believe me. They go, "Oh, no, it isn't." I go, "It is." I've still got the email. Let me find out which prison it was.
Crap. That's a lot.
Like, I'm not made of money. People think I make money from this. Like, I get like donations and obviously monetization and Patreon and stuff like that, but it doesn't pay for the roof of me, Ed. It just pays to continue doing it and to pay for petrol. And I appreciate everybody that does that. I'm assuming you appreciate everybody who does to buy the coffee thing.
Well, yeah, that's the only thing I have right now. I still haven't hit my 500 mark. I was hoping to meet it by my birthday next week, but got my fingers crossed.
It was at Shepton Mallet. So to book an 8-hour paranormal investigation, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. would cost £1,000 plus VAT.
Wow.
And then it says,
that's crazy.
If you're filming, it's 1,500. Are they all right?
That's insane. That is insane. And do they have to check whatever you record before you can release it?
It doesn't say that, no.
Oh, okay.
If you were looking to film a paranormal investigation or anything personal like this, there would be an additional cost of £500 plus VAT. You must follow our practices on sleeping events, all T's and C's. I haven't read the T's and C's. Could be in the T's and C's. I never got back to them. I just instantly posted it on a Facebook, not Facebook, on a YouTube community page. I was like, what is this?
Right. It's insanity is what it is. Yeah, I won't pay that kind of money.
But I have been offered a position to go to, and I should probably take them up on it, to be fair. There's an old pub down in... I've gone and lost it now. I had details about it and I've gone and lost them. Yeah, that wasn't going to cost me too much money. It's the old Jamaica Inn.
Well, yep, I've heard of
that.
that.
Those of you that know of that.
Yep.
Yeah, they're very careful on who they let in there now. And it's sort of like it's like invite basis. But I'm in contact with somebody that I've spoken to and actually met in person, so they trust me.
That's
So
good.
that's a potential that could be in the future.
That would be very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, the 50 per head thing is if you go with an event, but
If you
after
go in,
yeah,
you go in as a group, yeah.
the last time I paid to go with an event where you get randoms turn up with you, was when it was with Spooktacular after Shan and Bill left Spooktacular, and everyone there hated me. Pretty much.
That's terrible.
They didn't like my method.
Oh,
They didn't like the fact that I was trying to film the evening for an episode. They didn't like. So, for example, we were all in a big circle, and then because I know psychological effects, I knew that they kept saying things like, "Oh, is anyone feeling anything? Is anyone getting anything? Is anyone feeling hot? Is anyone getting this? Is anyone getting that?" And I'm like, "You're instigating thoughts into people's heads.
right.
Like, stop trying to create this psychological atmosphere. If someone's going to feel something, they'll let you know." And then I started like moving about, and then the woman next to me was like, "Oh, Mark's swaying." And then the guy was like, "Oh, you're swaying, are you, Mark? Well, if there's something with you, just ask it to move along." Now, me being me, I turned around and went, "No, if there's something next to me, let's have it. Come on, do something. I dare you."
Right.
Oh my word.
They were mad. Uh-oh.
I got took to one side afterwards, and he was like, "You can't be doing that. You can't be angering them. There's people here that don't want that." He
Then what are they there
up to my
for?
head and did all this, and he was like, "Your aura's on thin ice. You need to be
Oh,
careful what
jeez.
you're doing." Right?
Okay.
And no one in there that spoke to me. They just ignored me. So it was just me and the people I was with, and then everyone else was just like, they just hated the fact that I was there.
Wow.
So
Well, you were doing an
I've
investigation.
I've never gone with a group since. I then went and got my own insurance and booked the place out privately.
Right. See, a lot of people I've spoken to say, yeah, they don't like the group thing. I wouldn't either. Because I think there's too much contamination when you're in a group.
Yeah, and there's like
You
20
don't
people.
have the freedom to do what you need to do or what you want to do. Like you just proved, they're telling, oh, you can't do that. Well, why not?
I got right. We were in it was the clock tower. We were in the bottom room, and we were all doing. They were all doing. It was like a spirit box through. What do you call it? It was like an echo box, a portal. That's what they called it, a portal box. And they were asking questions. It was hello, with like stupid voices coming through, like
Yeah.
And they had like the app going through it and all that shite, right? And pardon my French.
Pretty much what it is. Yeah.
And then I heard banging going across the roof above me, and I'm like that. And I'm like, turn that off. And they were like, no, we're trying to listen. I was like, there's actual activity going on up there, and you're listening to a box, right?
Right.
And I was like, can I exit the circle and go and have a look? No, you can't go up there. All right, so who's up there then?
Right.
Who's messing about then? There's no one up there. We're doing this now. We're doing the circle. We're not doing that. We're doing this.
Yeah, see, that's
What? There's actual activity going on,
too
and
much
you're ignoring
restriction.
it. When they left and we had to switch places, the first thing I did was walked upstairs.
There you go.
There's no one up there. There was no one up there.
Sneak off on your own. That's what you got to do. There's a lot of people that I'm involved with, and I've heard the same thing where they won't do the group things no more because you're just too many restrictions. And
you do get an hour free normally, free time at the end.
Right.
But I had an hour free, and I wanted to go into the clock tower bit because that's where I was hearing the sounds. And we were in there for 25 minutes, and then another group turned up and told us to leave. And they were like, "Oh, you've had your time in here. We want some time now." And I was like, "Well, why don't you just join me? We don't want to do it with you."
Oh, well, pardon me.
Yeah. I wasn't liked.
And it said, we were not allowed up to the top either, but we did. Yeah, because if something's going on, they didn't want you to catch it, or either it was paranormal or not.
I climbed into the rafters in one place, and they went mental at me. Yeah. I was like, there's got to be something up there. And I was climbing up into the rafters to have a look.
Mark throws himself right in there, 100%.
Yeah.
That's
I'm mad
great.
like that. I'm
And,
surprised
and
it's
I
still
love
alive.
that because what really annoys me is when you see them on and you see videos and they hear something and they start screaming and running in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
And I'm like
Josh did that the
yelling at
other
the
day.
screen. Why are you doing? What are you there for? If
I
you're going
mean,
to run the other way, stay home.
don't get me wrong. When you're in the dark in the middle of nowhere and something goes boo boo, your instant reaction is to go would you boo? Yeah, you know what I mean. I was in a place the other night and it happened with me and Josh. And Josh, he was gone, and I just stood there. I just stood there like, come back. And he was like,
Where are you
Mark, what are you
going?
doing down there? I just heard a growl, and I was like, did you? I was like, come back and just find out what it was. It could be anything. There's a lift shaft there. It's probably the wires in the lift.
Yeah, who knows? Like
So
if I
I
bring
stood my
my
ground.
sister will run towards it. She doesn't care.
Yeah, I stood my ground on that
Yeah.
occasion. Depends what
So-
mood I'm in.
Right. So does anybody have any more questions for Mark before we let him go?
Oh, yeah,
It's pretty late where he is.
2:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
You're probably thinking, how am I this active?
Eh?
This is my morning.
He
This
took a
is
nap.
no,
You're good.
listen, you can tell I'm a proper investigator when I'm still actively awake at this time.
Right. I know I have a hard time with the late nights. It's rough. So it's
Yeah, I don't.
after a certain time, my body's like, whatever, and I can fall asleep standing up if I need to.
I don't have a day job. All I do is entertainment.
So
I can't. There's something that does bother me sometimes when I see people getting into YouTube and content creation and stuff, and they haven't even. You know, I spent 5 years getting a media degree and wanting to be into entertainment since I was like 6. And then there's people that just rock up and then suddenly they're famous or whatever, or they get like TikTok fame, and it's like within years. And I'm like, I've been working at this for years, and it's like, how is it fair?
Right. That's
people that go, oh, you're just being jealous, blah blah blah. But you know what I mean? It's realistic.
It's depressing because you worked hard for a lot of years, and you're expecting something for all that hard work, and the goofballs get the recognition, and I get it.
A lot of the time, I have to just appreciate the support and subscribers that I do have.
And yeah, that's what I do. I
do it for them.
Everybody that shows up and hangs out with me, and that's the best we can do. I mean, it's if they're gonna like us, they're gonna like us, and we just have to appreciate all of them.
Yeah.
So it's it's the same thing like the magazine that I put together. It's for the community. It's community based. So that's why I want everybody to share their experiences and stories and all of that, because they need recognition just as much as we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important that everybody that's in the chat is involved, and whoever's watching the videos or the clips are involved. And we like the feedback. It's just like we always say, oh, please hit the like button, share, make a comment. It's free. It helps us out. It helps us keep going, because you know how YouTube is.
And even with dislikes, right? If someone doesn't like something, I'd like them to actually comment. Do you know what I mean? I'd like them to say, actually, you know what? I didn't really enjoy this because of this.
Right.
I'm not gonna suddenly turn up with an axe. You know what I mean?
Right. Or
just
or
be like, oh,
okay.
Right. I'll look into that. Like, are you the only person that thinks this? And then if some other people go, actually, do you know what? I didn't enjoy that bit either. Okay, I won't do that anymore.
Right. So we
learn
won't know unless you say something.
If you're just mindlessly disliking and without giving a reason, how is anyone meant to change?
Right. Exactly. So yeah, we need the input. So, okay, guys, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to Haunted Truth, get over there and check him out. Mark's got some great info. He's also a wonderful interview. So if you guys do podcasts, please invite him. It's really a joy. You're always welcome, Mark. Thank you. That. Always love having you here. Until then, guys, always remember to live life a little bit on the raw side. We'll see you next time.
Namaste.